Hello, everybody. It's part one. All right. Day 162 of quarantine, August 26, 2020. Before I start, let me let you guys know that this is all fiction. Do not fear. Okay. So today's my birthday, but I'm just glad to have made it to the age of 32 because there's no telling the way the world's set up today. Man. About 10 months or so ago, I was planning to be in Jamaica right now. And up to about 5 months or so ago, I still thought I might see a beautiful birthday celebration in the Caribbean. No one expected the world to get this bad. See, back in early February, this virus broke out in Wuhan, China called COVID-19 or the coronavirus. By late March, it had become an epidemic and the U.S. economy collapsed. We were all ordered to self-quarantine at home, and businesses and parks and any public gatherings were closed or forbidden. People who were diagnosed with COVID-19 were quarantined for 14 days to either get well or die. But there was no cure at this time. By early April, scientists in Oklahoma City found a cure that eased the symptoms but didn't cure the underlying virus. A week or so later, the first few hundred trial patients started seeing strange side effects. It was crazy at first. The week of April 9th through the 16th was the most wild in human history. Well, at least in our lifetimes. There were so many deaths. People were looting like crazy. Then crime went up. Crime went so far up, cars were stolen at an all-time high. I mean, cars with kids in them and everything. And with social media, it only made things worse because everyone was out trying to out-crime one another. I mean, there was even an out-crime you challenge going around now that I think about it. Anyway, the city was on fire, literally. Veronica came through for a couple days so she would feel safe since she lived alone. But then that shit started to get a little crazy too. I think she was in Rona recovery. She wasn't trying to tell me because we had just met prior to the breakout. That Rona recovery is a motherfucker though, boy, I tell you. Anyway, by early May, Seattle starts seeing its first cases of the COVID-zombies. COVID-zombies, yeah, you heard it right. These were them Rona victims who died back in March and shit, like the first batches of deaths. And since Seattle had the number one most cases in all of America, Seattle seen the most and the first cases of the COVID-zombie. Crazy part is, we had all heard about them. I mean, all of America, if not all of the world, had heard about them, because I've seen memes and all types of articles being shared on social media before they really started appearing. At the first sight of the very first one, the gun store sales went crazy. Through the roof. I mean, it was already hard enough trying to find a gun after the outbreak of the virus. But after the very first sighting of the COVID-zombie, you couldn't buy a gun off of a street gun seller because they were trying to hoard them for themselves too. Everybody was scared. They released all inmates in all jails in fear that the outbreak of the COVID-zombie would hit the inmate population and we'd have some super criminal COVID-zombies running around. I guess I could say that was the only good call this Trump character has made. Amazingly, he's still in office. I would have thought that he'd be out of office by now after the outbreak in the Oval Office. The White House had to hire all types of new individuals to fill the positions of the 183 infected employees. That's nearly a third of the entire White House staff. It's crazy. We're going into our 6th month of quarantine. In the beginning, you still see people out congregating, just ignoring the fact that this thing was really spreading, infecting one another without the slightest knowledge. By June, they made it a felony to leave your house or be seen in groups of more than two. By July, the streets were so quiet, houses were empty due to so many deaths. At first, you see people out, taking walks, riding their bikes, walking their dogs, until the smell of the rotten corpse started flowing out of people's homes into the silent streets. Whoever finds this journal, save this entry because the events of today are those that have gone down in history. I think I could pinpoint the outbreak of the COVID-zombie. See, back in March, had to have been late March because I remember watching the news on my big mama's birthday, which is March 31st, and thinking to myself, finally, cure. Growing up, I'd always heard that in the last days, humankind would be implanted with a microchip that destroys humanity. Well, back in March, the COVID chip was released. And since the entire world was in a panic, Everyone was lined up for them, especially when they announced that they were free. After a week or so after the first implanted chip was placed in the neck of the first COVID patient to recover almost immediately, Donald Trump's dumbass required that all Americans are implanted for safety precautions, or you will be jailed indefinitely in this new quarantine jail they had built. All of April was up in the air. I mean, we still had so many rebels who refused to be chipped, but the ones who were chipped were like immune to the virus or something. Until like late April, when patient number 1 of the COVID chip died unexpectedly from complications of, you guessed it, COVID-19. Almost immediately was the inevitable outbreak of the COVID-19 deaths caused primarily from the implant. Well, that was my theory. Still, no one else came to this conclusion, even after all these COVID zombies started appearing. Finally, it's August. The end of August, might I remind you, and scientists are just now starting to test the theory of the two being directly connected. I started a list of people I know who were either infected, dead, or came back as a COVID zombie. Also the missing ones, but they're on a separate list. As of today, my list contains 138 associates, 22 coworkers or old coworkers, 12 family members, and 3 ex-girlfriends or girls I used to talk to. Anyway, happy birthday to me. I'm blessed to have made it to see 32 years old, but the way the world is set up today, this just might be my last birthday. God willing, we as a whole make it out of this. I pray for this every day. I pray for our planet, the people on our planet, and even our dumbass president. Prayer is a must in times like these. These COVID zombies are crucial. They aren't like the zombies you see in the movies. These motherfuckers is fast, alert, and they don't eat brains. They just try to infect you. Like some misery loves company type shit. They look just like us. They don't look dead and smelly and all that. But they are incredibly sick. They got pale skin, red eyes, and a cough you can hear a block away. Anyway, it's part one. I had challenged others to add to it. You can too. Leave it in the comments. I'm about to release part 2 though. Bang.